Today, we're going to break down the movie MadS. The story kicks off with a young man named Romain, who visits a chemical dealer to purchase substances for a party. It's his birthday, and he's thrown a celebration in honor of the occasion. After grabbing the chemicals, Romain hops into his father's luxury car. While driving, he lights up a cigarette and, in a moment of carelessness, throws it inside the car. Realizing his mistake, he panics and rushes to throw the cigarette out. Just then, a girl suddenly runs in front of his car, colliding with it. She appears to have bandages wrapped around her head, looking terrified and disoriented. Without hesitation, she rushes into Romain's car, her clothes ragged and dirty, and her demeanor suggests she might have escaped from a lab or a hospital, clearly in shock. Confused and concerned, Romain asks her what happened, but she is unable to respond, only crying uncontrollably. Trying to get help, Romain calls the emergency number, but he soon realizes that she is terrified of the police. So, he hangs up the phone, deciding to drive her somewhere, though he has no idea where she needs to go. The girl remains silent, continuing to cry. Romain tries to engage her in conversation, but it's no use. After a while, the girl pulls out a recorder and plays a message. The voice on the recorder identifies her as C-39, a subject involved in a secret experiment. It's revealed she's 25 years old and has escaped. The girl, in her panic, is trying to communicate that she is the subject they were talking about, confirming her involvement in the experiment. However, Romain is still clueless, not understanding what's going on. Things take a darker turn when the girl starts acting erratically. She begins banging her head against the car, making strange gestures, and even takes out a knife to harm herself. Despite Romain's attempts to stop her, she continues, and in a tragic moment, she falls onto him, covering him in her blood. She eventually collapses on the seat, lifeless. Romain is left in a state of shock, completely bewildered by the chaotic turn of events on what was supposed to be his birthday. He tries to lift her, but it's hopeless, she's gone. Now, Romain must face the aftermath of this terrifying and inexplicable encounter. Somehow, Romain manages to escape the situation and drives his car back to his garage. He checks on the girl once more, but she remains lifeless. His anxiety only deepens as he is covered in blood and there's a dead body in his car, a situation that could lead to serious consequences. He still has a party to attend, and his mind is spiraling as he grapples with the chaos of the day. Taking a moment to calm himself, Romain decides to take a bath. As he showers, he curses himself for stopping the car in the first place, wondering how everything would have been different if he hadn't. Suddenly, his dad calls, asking if everything is fine with the car, revealing how much his father values the vehicle. Romain lies, assuring him that the car is perfectly fine, and hangs up. Now, with a clearer head, he checks the car again, but to his surprise, the girl is gone. This suggests that she wasn't dead after all, she had only fainted from her injuries. This discovery shocks him. How could she have survived such a violent state and even had enough strength to escape? Answers will come later, but for now, Romain starts searching for her, but she's nowhere to be found. Just as he's wondering where she could be, someone knocks at the door. Romain answers, and it's his friend Anna, who's come to spend time with him for his birthday. Concerned about Romain's strange behavior, she offers comfort, but Romain, still shaken, asks her to leave him be as he searches for the girl. Anna, sensing his discomfort, steps outside for a cigarette. Romain worries that she's upset and calls her back, but she questions his odd actions. Romain tries to calm her down, explaining that he's not feeling well, and convinces her to leave with their other friends. He stays behind, alone in his thoughts, as he searches the CCTV footage for any sign of the girl but finds nothing. He heads outside, where his friends are still waiting, and joins them. However, Romain remains distant, with only the image of the girl on his mind. At the party, Romain's behavior becomes even more peculiar, and Anna becomes increasingly worried. His friends notice the change in him, but he remains silent, retreating to a room without offering an explanation. Anna, feeling confused, goes to the washroom with a friend. When she returns, she's shocked to see Romain standing there with his eyes strangely glowing. She points it out to him, and in a frantic moment, he stares at his reflection in the mirror. His neck jerks unnaturally, and something unsettling begins to unfold. At the same time, Romain's dad calls him in a panic, reporting that the house alarm has gone off and that he spotted someone moving around on the security cameras. Since he's not home, He asks Romain to check things out. Reluctantly, Romain leaves the party and heads back to the house, but as he does, we notice something unsettling. His eyes are glowing unnaturally, a sign that something dangerous has taken hold of him. On his way out, one of his friends tries to force him into dancing, which only serves to further agitate Romain. He explodes in anger, attacking his friend. Anna's friend steps in to stop the fight, but Romain, now uncontrollable, lashes out at her too. He storms off, grabbing a bicycle, and heads home. Once there, he disables the alarm and answers his father's call. His dad, still concerned, asks if any thieves had entered the house and if anything was missing. Romain reassures him that everything is fine, but his father's strange laughter suggests there's something off about the situation. Romain, now deeply unnerved, ends the call and steps inside. Inside the house, Romain finds the recorder that the girl had, the same one that had been playing the experimental recordings from the lab. As he listens, he notices bloodstains scattered throughout the house. Following the trail, he makes his way to the bathroom, where he finds the girl sitting in the bathtub, attacking herself with a knife. Romain rushes to disarm her, throwing the knife aside, but a sense of fear overtakes him as he realizes the gravity of the situation. The girl, still frantic, pulls out a strange device, which leaves Romain in shock. With a sudden sense of danger, he bolts from the bathroom, running out of the house. He looks out the window and sees commandos approaching, the same ones who had conducted experiments on the girl. They're here to take her back. As they begin to search the house, they realize someone else is present. That's when Romain, feeling cornered, goes into a manic state. Laughing uncontrollably, he sits on the floor, bites himself, licks the ground, and crawls backward in a bizarre, animalistic way. Seeing his erratic behavior, the commandos quickly subdue him and take him with them. Meanwhile, Anna calls Romain, trying to reach him, but the person on the other end isn't Romain. It's the commandos, posing as him. Anna, unaware of the deception, continues talking to them, believing she's conversing with her friend. Anna is told that the boy she attacked has suffered a broken neck, and they question her about the intensity of her actions. As she answers them, her own behavior begins to change. She starts moving her neck in the same unnatural way that Romain had earlier, a sign that her condition is deteriorating as well. She calls a taxi to leave, but her odd behavior intensifies, and she receives a call from her friend, who tells her that she feels something is wrong, strange things are happening to her. Suddenly, the call ends abruptly, with her friend crying. Just then, Anna notices that they're being followed. It's the commandos. The taxi driver stops and confronts them, but the commandos kill him instantly. Terrified, Anna takes over the wheel and drives off, only to stop the taxi at a random spot. She steps out and begins walking strangely down the road, her actions becoming even more erratic. As the commandos chase her, they start shooting, but Anna doesn't stop running. She ends up at a club, where she pleads for help and asks someone to call the police. In the washroom, she inspects her injuries, horrified by what she sees. At that moment, her friend calls again, urging Anna to meet her at the station where she has a bike ready for her. Meanwhile, the commandos arrive at the club, shooting everyone in sight. Anna, in a panic, escapes by jumping through a window, heading toward her friend's location. As she runs, her behavior becomes more animalistic. She violently attacks a girl on the street, covering herself in her blood before continuing on. She steals a bicycle from a boy, but when he tries to stop her, she kills him and dumps his body in a pool. Before leaving, she apologizes, saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this, but something strange is happening to me, and I'm compelled to do it." The sirens wail across the city, signaling that the strange occurrences are spreading, affecting many others. Anna finally reaches her friend, who is horrified by her condition. She forces her friend onto the bike, but as Anna starts to smear her blood on her, her friend pushes her off in disgust, realizing that Anna is now behaving like an animal. Fearing for her safety, she runs away. Anna's phone rings, and it's her mother, who tells her that the city is descending into chaos and that her wheelchair is stuck in place. Without hesitation, Anna rushes to her mother's aid. However, as she runs, Anna's speed becomes unnatural. She moves as fast as a bike, closing the distance quickly. It's clear that something has transformed her into something beyond human. The situation takes an even darker turn when Anna's friend reaches her house and enters via the lift. However, in the midst of her ascent, the lift suddenly halts, sending her into a panic. Her fear intensifies when she hears Anna's voice from outside, followed by sounds of people being attacked and devoured. The screams of victims echo through the building, and among them, Anna's friend hears a commando's voice. He's speaking urgently, explaining that a virus has spread throughout the city, and if she hasn't been exposed to it yet, there's still hope for her survival. The lift eventually resumes, and Anna's friend reaches her floor. But what she discovers in her home is nothing short of horrifying. Anna is there, consuming her mother. She's eaten her entire head. Frozen with fear, Anna's friend flees the scene, only to be confronted by a commando wearing a mask. He examines her eyes, checking for signs of infection. Finding none, he reveals his identity. He's a soldier, and he orders her to stay put while he deals with Anna. However, as he attempts to confront Anna, she attacks him. In a brutal defense, the commando shoots her in the head repeatedly, reducing it to a grotesque, unrecognizable mess. But this action proves to be a fatal mistake. The commando becomes infected when Anna's blood splashes onto her feet. It turns out that if an uninfected person comes into contact with the blood of an infected individual, they too will become infected. The virus spreads rapidly, turning its victims into vicious, dangerous beings. The commando, now realizing the gravity of the situation, warns Anna's friend that if she hasn't been exposed to the virus yet, she might still have a chance to survive. However, he knows she was with Romaine, whose blood has now mixed with hers, meaning she is already infected. She doesn't reveal this to him, fearing the consequences of her admission. The commando, now grim, tells her to find a dark place, as the infected are drawn to light. He hands her a gun, urging her to flee. He warns her that once he becomes fully infected, he will no longer be able to control himself and may harm her. With a final sorrowful look, the commando turns away, and in a heartbreaking moment, he shoots himself, ending his life before the virus can take full control. This act reveals the desperate lengths the commandos have gone to in order to prevent the virus from spreading further and wreaking havoc on the city. As Anna's friend begins to show signs of infection, her behavior changes dramatically. She starts laughing maniacally, as if losing her sanity. Meanwhile, across the city, chaos and destruction unfold, signaling the rapid spread of the virus. It becomes clear that the first girl, the initial subject of the experiment, designated as C-39, was the source of this deadly virus. Her escape and subsequent actions set the stage for the city's downfall, and the virus has now reached a terrifying scale. The virus begins with Anna, who inadvertently infects Romaine by transferring her blood to him. From there, Romaine comes into contact with his friends, unknowingly spreading the infection even further. Eventually, the entire city falls victim to this terrifying outbreak. The commandos, under the government's orders, were conducting a secret experiment to create super soldiers, fast, powerful warriors capable of extraordinary feats. They engineered the subject, Anna, with the intention that anyone exposed to her blood would gain these abilities. While the soldiers would become faster and stronger, the side effects were far worse than they had anticipated. Instead of just becoming superpowered, the infected individuals turned into uncontrollable monsters, attacking and devouring anyone in their path. As the infection spreads, the city descends into chaos, and the once hopeful experiment becomes a nightmare. The possibility of curing or stopping the virus seems almost impossible now, leaving the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. The commandos face a desperate question. Can they find a way to contain or reverse the damage they've caused, or is it too late to prevent the disaster from reaching its full potential? With this chilling question in mind, the film ends, leaving viewers to contemplate the devastating consequences of tampering with nature and the ethics of creating such a monstrous force. What will the future hold for the infected, and is there any hope left for those not yet consumed by the virus? With this, the movie ends. If you liked this video, then do not forget to subscribe to the channel after liking the video.